Hello and welcome to another video. So this time what we're going to do is try and master the cut crease eye makeup. So what we're going to do is going to use the same palette as last time. Oh, let me see if I can open it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these colours. I'm going to make like a peachy crease and then we're going to have the peach shimmer on the lids. There might be a little pop of pink in there, I'm not too sure yet, but we're going to make like peachy, fresh vibes. I've done nice little fresh skin, like little tinted moisturiser. It's not going to be too crazy, it's all going to be focused on the eyes. So let's get started. So I've just started by clipping my hair back just so it's not getting in the way. I've got my little mirror here for if I'm looking down, I don't mean to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep my eyelids with some concealer, or you can use foundation. So I'm going to pop that on. Not too much, and then I'm going to get a little brush. Oh, what brush do I use? I'm just going to take a little brush, or you can use your finger, you can use a sponge, whichever you feel best with. And I'm going to pat that concealer all over the lid. If you've got an eye primer as well, that'll work just as good. Just going to pat that out, make sure it's blending into the skin. And usually I would recommend doing your eyes first. I just like to do the skin so you can see it all as a whole, but especially with things like a cut crease, because they're more complicated and like there's a lot of like building up eyeshadows and stuff. Sometimes doing your skin last is better, but I have powdered, so anything that falls down I can just brush away. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with a little fluffy brush like this, and I'm going to go in with the shade Undisputed, which is the darkest brown. And although it seems scary to go in with the darkest brown first, it works well when you're blending because you'll be able to see each colour properly. So I'm literally just tapping in a few times, tapping off any excess, and I'm going to start on the outer corner of this eye. So I'm just starting on the end, just pushing in the product, tapping in, adding a bit more. I'm just going to keep building this up until I get the colour that I want. So you want this to be the darkest colour, and you're going to push this right into your crease, so like your eye folds, because you want to be able to see this once we put the concealer. Tapped into the pink. You want to be able to see this when we cut the crease. So keep going in, little bits at a time, there's no need to rush. If you rush a cut crease, 9 times out of 10, it's just not going to look as neat as you want it to be. And you'll lose colours, and it still looks okay, it just could be better. So I'm just going to keep building up this brown and then pushing in. I'm going to go all the way into the inner third of the eye, making sure to push it in. Don't worry about blending or anything yet, you just want to get the shape down. So I'm just going to keep pushing, adding in product and pushing in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe my brush on my wrist just to get rid of any excess product and go over the edges. Just like so, in little circular motions. And that'll just start to diffuse this brown colour ready for our next shade. So it still looks a little bit messy, but don't worry, because you got to trust the process. This is it. This is like a trust the process kind of look. So the next colour I'm going to go in with is Riled Up. So it's this burgundy like brown colour. And I'm going to take a clean fluffy brush like this one. So I'm going to do the same, tap in. I'm going to tap in a little bit, tap off any excess. And what it is, it's like a 50-50. You want to go half over the brown, half above. And then that's when you start to blend the colours together to make it nice and seamless and get rid of any harsh lines. And you want to try and keep this quite low because you've still got another colour to go on top of this, so you don't want to be too close to the eyebrow. So I'm going to keep working that colour in, making sure to go over all the edges, come right down to that lash line so that we can match the colours up later. And just keep, it's like a little scratching motion, as if like you're shading in your eye. And then I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to take a little bit more, especially on this outer corner, because you want the outer corner to be the darkest. And keep wiggling that in like so. And then what I'm going to do, I'm not going to add anything to the first brush that we used. I'm just going to go in and blend, just to make sure that there's no harsh lines, like so. Boom. And then now we're going to add the peach, and I'm really excited for this part. So I'm going to take another fluffy brush. If you don't have this many fluffy brushes, get a piece of tissue and swirl your brush on it until the eyeshadows come off, and then you can reuse it for a different colour. And then I'm going to go in with this shade, which is Disarray, if I can read properly. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that on the brush, tap off the excess, and again go 50-50, so I'm just scratching over the edge of that burgundy colour that we used. And this is just going to start giving it the nice peachy, summery, well, I wouldn't say summery, yeah, a little bit summery colours to the eye look. And don't be afraid to go all the way up towards your eyebrow. This can be as dramatic as you want. So I'm just going to take a little bit at a time and start blending this out. And I like to wing mine out a little bit, so I prefer to start doing this with the lightest shade rather than the darkest, and then building up afterwards, because sometimes you can just take it a little bit too far. But this does all depend on your eye shape. So if you've got lower set brows, I've got quite low set brows, you can go over the tail of your brow very lightly, just to start blending that up towards the temple, and then back towards the inner portion of your eye. So this colour's more pinky than peach, but I'm not mad at it. So I'm going to keep blending, and I know it looks a little bit daunting at the minute, but trust me, it's going to look so much better towards the end. So I'm going to go back in with the burgundy shade, which is riled up. Take a little bit of that, and then just work that between the lightest pink and the dark brown again, just because that colour can get lost a little bit. And then we can start doing little circular motions. Use a really light hand when you're doing this, just because it means you make less mistakes. And brush up towards the brow, just to continue the winged out look. And pull it up towards the temple. So basically this is the 3 steps that you need for doing the crease, but literally just back and forth between all the colours until you're happy with what you've got. Some people may want it more reddy tone, so you won't use as much brown. You may want it more pink, so you don't use the brown. It is completely up to you, but I'd rather show you the more dramatic version, and then you can tailor it to yourself. So I'm fairly happy with that. Just going to go over a little bit more here. And honestly, don't worry if it's come down onto the lids, because we've got this, it's going to be fine. So I'm going to blow it up like that. So this should be everything you've done for your cut crease area. So then what I like to do is go in with a clean brush, just brush on your hands just to make sure there's nothing on it, and I'll just go over the edges just to make sure it blends in with the skin perfectly, with like no product on, nothing. And this is just how you'd avoid all the harsh lines, especially on your inner corner. That's just not the vibe. So now for the little scary part. It's not scary, but everyone thinks it's scary. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my concealer or foundation, whichever you want to use, and I'm going to run that on the bottom of my lid. And then hopefully this works, because you've got to put it in the same place. And then you're going to look up, look to the side, look to that side, and just see how it made a little line. Boom, that is where your cut crease needs to be. Because see, when my eye is open and I'm looking forward, you can still see it. That's what we want. Because if you put it just on your eyelids, once you've opened your eyes, you don't see all the hard work that you've done on your eyelids, which just isn't what you want. You want to be able to see it from when your eyes are open. So now you've got your little template of where you want it. You want to take a concealer brush. So I like to use a brush like this. It's nice and thin, and it's like rounded, so it helps with building over the cut crease. So then what I like to do is take my concealer, put a little bit on the back of my hands like this. You want to make sure that you've got enough, don't be scared of it. And then you're going to coat both sides of your brush, making sure it's nice and thin. I don't even know if you can see how thin that is. My hand's too pale, isn't it? Oh, sorry. And then you're going to start patting this over the lid. If you've gone too far down on your lid, what you can do is wipe a little bit off with a wipe, but make sure you're always patting rather than dragging, because if you drag your concealer, it's going to start to mix with the eyeshadow, whereas if you pat, it just sits on top of it and blanks it out. Gonna pat it on in dead, short and controlled stamping motions, and you want to make sure you're following the line that we made when we looked up, and just keep patting and making sure that you're adding more concealer each time, because once you start patting without the concealer, it's just going to start mixing with the eyeshadow again, and you're not going to have a clear base to work on with your next eyeshadows. So the key is just be dead patient, take your time. This is going to be the longest process of like trying to cut the crease, but it's so worth it. And what I'm doing is I'm stopping just before the end of my lash line, because I'm going to blend that so then it blends into the eyeshadow, but I'll show you that in a sec. So I'm just going to take a little bit more, keep patting over and making sure that lines are nice and sharp. So once you've followed, it does come down to your natural eyelid from here, and then you can just work your brush up towards, and then what you want to do to check that you like it, you want to look straight ahead in the mirror and see if you like the shape. If you don't like the shape, change it, or yeah, just go with it. Have confidence in yourself. The more confidence you have in yourself, the better. The more you get nervous and start to shake and worry about it, that's when you start making mistakes, because you start overthinking it. So what I do is I'll just use my finger and pass over it a little bit, just in case there's any excess. Or I will take the brush that I used originally to set my concealer and pass over. It's completely up to you. And then what I do when I get to the end is I'll get that concealer brush and I'll just start to blend the concealer into the eyeshadow, just so that there's not that harsh line left. And what you'll see is it starts to muddy the concealer a little bit. That's what we want, because it means it's starting to blend in with the eyeshadow, which makes it easier to blend eyeshadows on top. But being careful not to knock this top line. You want to make sure that stays nice and crisp, like so. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back in with the darker shade on the fluffy brush called Undisputed, and I'm going to start to press that on the outer corner of this eye, just going over the concealer just slightly and angling it with the wing. So I'm not going all the way, I'm not going down with the eyeshadow, I'm going along the lash line and building it up into the wing, and this is how we're going to start to get our gradient. So I'm just going to pass a little bit more on and use a dead light hand. And what I like to do is, you'll probably see in the video as well, is like to have my mirror lower, tilt my head back and look down. That way you get a full, because if you try and do it like this, you're not going to see everything. So when you open your eye, it's not going to be even. So as long as you keep your eyebrows raised, you'll be able to see everything going on. And then what I'll take is the fluffy brush with riled up on, tap off the excess and just go over that a little bit, just to start creating the gradient, and then it just blends out nicely. And then making sure you're getting right into the crease, like so. And then for the lid, for cut creases, what I like to do is use my finger for the eyeshadow. So I'm going in with the shade Chaotic, which is this peachy shimmery colour, and I'm going to just rub my finger in it, just so it's on like that, and just start to press it on over the concealer. And you just want to be careful not to go above where you've put that crisp line, otherwise that's when you start to lose the definition in your cut crease. So I'm just going to keep patting that on until I'm happy with the colour. And it's like pat and pull motions, but what you want to do is make sure you're going over the ends here and building it up. So now what I like to do is take a flat brush, if I can find it. Yep. Take a flat brush, I just wiggle it on the wipe, just so it's a little bit damp, and I'll put it into the eyeshadow, make sure it's coating it, and then that's when I'll start going up towards the line that we made. And you want to make sure you put an eyeshadow on both sides of the brush, and that way once you press into your crease it means it comes off on both sides rather than it just being a clear brush on the end, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. In my head it does. So I'm going to dampen the brush again. I'm going to work that right up to the top. If you don't have a flat brush like this, what you can do is wipe off the concealer brush like this one. So I'll just literally wipe off the concealer, making sure there's no cream left on it, and then I'll pat that in to the eyeshadow, and then you can go in with that too. And because that's got a nice sharp edge, just means you can get right up but keep, as I say, the definition. Right, so once you've got the peach on the lid, what I'm going to do is take the brush from before that we used for the light peach colour and go in with the shade Rigorous, which is this bright pink colour. I'm going to get a little bit of that on the brush, and I'm going to start to go over the peach. So between the dark eyeshadow and the peach, and this is just going to bring a little bit of pink back to the look. Just like so. And as well, this is helping blend it back into the wing. So just going to keep blending. Use little swirl motions. And it just creates the most perfect gradient effect. Just, can you see what it's doing? And just, I love it. I do love pattern matte eyeshadows over shimmers sometimes, as it just gives a nice little satin effect like this. Fabulous. So what I like to do sometimes is, if you've got like an eyebrow brush, like an angled eyebrow brush, let me find one of mine. So I've got this one nice and clean. I'll dip that into the darkest brown, and then just to clean up what we've done, I like to go over the edge of where we've done the cut crease, just to redefine it. Can you see how that's done there? And just use a really light hand and just feather up the colour like that. And then you can go back in with the fluffy brush and just blend over. And that is how you do your cut crease eye. So once we've done all the eyeshadow, we're going to go in with our pencil black eyeliner, and we're just going to go as close to the lash line as possible. Just being very gentle, doing small stroke motions, just like so. And you can just lie your pencil flat onto your lash line to make sure you're getting as close as possible and not going to take it too high. This just makes your lashes look a lot fuller, especially if you're not going to be wearing false lashes, which I'm not for this look, just so I know that we can all look a little bit the same. And we've got our mascara to use anyway, so just like to do that. And then with the angled brush, I'm going to go into the shade Undisputed again. Tap that on the angled brush and run it over the black liner that we did. So this is just to set the eyeliner in place so it doesn't start moving round, but as well blends into the eyeshadow so it doesn't look as harsh like black then your browns and purples. Just like so. Make sure you're getting right close to the lashes, just like that. See what we've done? Love it. So I'm going to take my eyelash curlers. I'm not sure if everyone has eyelash curlers, to be honest. I don't even use them all the time anymore. But I just like to take an eyelash curler if I'm just wearing mascara. And then we can take our Revolution mascara and just start to coat our lashes. So they're nice and thick. And this is where the look just starts to come together so nicely. I think a lash or like your mascara just makes the look so much better. I'm just going to keep coating up these lashes. Right, so once I'm happy with, ooh, not that clump. So once your lashes are all coated, we can work on the bottom. So I have got a tiny bit of fallout, but as I said, I powdered, so I can just brush that away. So then underneath, we're going to take the black pencil liner again. Oh, by the way, I am just going to do one eye on camera and then this eye off camera, and then we'll do the lips together. And I'm going to show you how I got my fake little freckles because it's really cute. So I'm going to take the pencil liner in the waterline. Remember as well, sorry I didn't do it, if you pull down and pull your lash line away, it reduces the chance of your eyes watering because the pencil isn't so close. It just works a lot better. So I popped the black in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this little angled brush with the shades Undisputed and get as close to the lashes as possible. I'm just going to blend the brown colour with the black eyeliner just to make a nice little smoky effect. And I keep blending down. Sorry, you can't see that, can you? Gonna keep blending down like this. And then I'm going to take the fluffy brush from before with the shade Riled Up, and then I'm going to blend underneath that colour. So it's just starting to mimic the colours that we did on the top, like that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to brush off the pink colour that we had on the original first brush, and then use the shade Disarray to blend everything all together. And see how I'm going right up against the wing and down into the inner corner, like so. Then only thing left to do is pop mascara on the bottom lashes. So basically you just spend all your time on the top and about 30 seconds on the bottom. And happy days. So I'm going to go off camera and then I'm going to do this eye, then I'll come back, show you how I do my fake freckles, lips, and we're done. So I've now done both eyes, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how I do my fake freckles. So I've got a little dark brown there, and then I've got a little brush like this, but what you can use is like the ends of a clip, like, you know, the little, have I even got one? Let me see if I've got a clip somewhere, like a little clip like this, and you can use that to dab on. So I'm going to take the shades Undisputed, a tiny little dab, and then I'm going to pass little freckles over the nose and onto the cheeks, and then you just use your finger to dab over it, and literally it's as easy as that to do little faux freckles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off with the lips. So I'm using this pinkish lip liner. This one's from NYX, but if you're ever looking for cheap lip liners, definitely go to Primark. They're literally like £1. So I'm just going to tighten out my lips and go around the edges. I'm pretty much following the natural shape. You can totally skip this step if you don't want to wear a lip liner. And then tighten the lips again. It's so hard to talk when you do lip liner. And then it's the same on the other side. And the reason I'm using this is because the lipstick we have is quite peachy, but I still want to involve like some pink I'm just gonna shade in a little bit. Just like so. And then I'm gonna take, I knew I had somewhere, our Revolution liquid lip. So this one's a nice matte one. So this takes off a lot on the brush, so you can just scrape some off, because otherwise you'll end up with a little bit too much product on your lips, and that's just not what we want. So gonna coat the lips, rub them, and then just fill in any gaps, making sure that it goes right up to the lip liner. And then we're just gonna sit and let that dry. So what I am gonna do is I'm gonna use the dark brown eyeshadow as an eyeshadow for my eyebrows as well. So I'm going to take another angled brush, and I've already brushed my eyebrows up with using eyebrow gel. I'm just going to fill in the end. You need to be a bit careful as well, because some eyeshadows do go very warm, but my natural hair colour is quite warm. So when you're using eyeshadows for brow powders, I would just double check it, like on your hands or something, before you put it straight onto your eyebrows. Just, they were looking a little bit sparse, and I'm too lazy to get up. And it just shows another use for the palette. I'm going to do that. I'm just doing small little strokes just to fill in the gaps. I'm just going to keep brushing up. Just checking out my brush the right way. Brushing up and filling in. And this is the final spring look. So it's nice, it's cute, it's spring, it's pink, it's a gradient, and most of all, it's a cut crease. Like, a cut crease is out there with like one of the hardest things to achieve. So never be hard on yourself if you can't get it perfect the first time. But yeah, this is the finished look. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed creating this. This is my type of makeup all day, every day. I love a bit of colour. I love a cut crease. I love a little shimmer on the lid. You can definitely go a bit further and add a gloss. You can add lashes. You can take this look as far as you want. But for today's video, this is it. I'm so happy with it, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will hopefully see you on another video. Bye!